Welcome to another episode of Camo's Mirror. The topic of today's discussion is the journey to self-love beyond the mirror. This podcast is for educational and informational purposes only. The information provided is not intended to substitute for professional counseling advice. Please consult qualified professionals for personal circumstances. Now let's take a deep dive into today's discussion. Imagine standing in front of a mirror and truly loving the person you see every single day. Today, we start that transformative journey to self-love. Again, welcome to Camo's Mirror, your guide to self-discovery and personal growth. I'm your host, Camo. With me today is Solomon, a counseling expert who specializes in cultivating self-compassion and healthy self-esteem. Solomon, I'm delighted to have you here.
Thank you, Camo. I'm thrilled to discuss such an important, yet often overlooked aspect of our well-being.
Absolutely. In a world that constantly barrages us with idealized images and societal pressures, truly accepting and appreciating ourselves can feel revolutionary. What does authentic self-love really mean?
Self-love is about developing an unconditional positive regard for yourself, a warm embrace of all parts of your identity, including your imperfections. It means being a supportive friend to yourself, rather than a harsh critic. This allows you to navigate life's ups and downs with greater resilience, confidence, and inner peace. The research is quite compelling. Dr. Kristen Neff at the University of Texas has found that self-compassion, a key component of self-love, is associated with reduced anxiety, depression, and stress, as well as increased life satisfaction and healthier biological markers like lower cortisol levels.
Those seem like remarkable benefits stemming from a shift in our inner attitudes. But for so many, self-love feels like an unattainable state, something reserved for a rare few. Where does the journey to deeper self-acceptance begin?
The first step is cultivating awareness of our self-talk and inner narratives. Notice when critical thoughts or feelings of unworthiness arise, and make space to observe them with acceptance rather than judgment. Ask yourself, would I speak this way to someone I care about? Dr. Neff recommends practicing self-compassion by treating ourselves with kindness, recognizing that being imperfect is part of the shared human experience, and relating to our negative thoughts in a balanced way rather than over-identifying with them. For example, if you're being hard on yourself about a mistake, you could place a hand over your heart as a physical reminder to pause. Then provide yourself with the affirmation and understanding you'd want to hear from a good friend. Over time, this rewires our habitual responses.
Those are such wise principles. I love the idea of extending the same compassion to ourselves that we readily give to others. Now you've also looked at self-love through the lens of habit formation. Correct. How might that framework help us transform deeply ingrained patterns of self-criticism?
Absolutely. Drawing from Charles Duhigg's insightful book, The Power of Habit, every habit is made up of a cyclical cue or trigger that sets off an automatic routine or behavior, which is reinforced by some kind of reward. With negative self-talk, the cue could be feeling frustrated about a mistake or setback. The routine is that inner voice that says hurtful things like, "You're not good enough," or "You always mess up." And perversely, the reward is a false sense of being motivating through harsh self-discipline. To break this cycle, we need to become aware of the cues that trigger the self-criticism. Then we can plan for and practice an alternative routine, like speaking to ourselves with compassion. Over time, responding to cues with self-kindness rather than judgment can become the new normal. The rewards also need an upgrade. Feeling resilient and having self-belief are far more nourishing than punishment. It takes practice, but the brain's neuroplasticity allows us to construct new supportive habits.
What powerful insights! Consciously retraining those deeply rooted neural pathways sounds immensely challenging, yet potentially life-changing. For our listeners, what other strategies can support this journey of radical self-acceptance?
There are so many angles we can take. One is looking at the cognitive distortions that fuel self-criticism. These are those faulty thought patterns like black and white thinking, overgeneralizing, or catastrophizing that make us judge ourselves harshly and discount our positive qualities. Cognitive behavioral methods help identify and reframe these unhelpful mindsets. Another key piece is addressing the inner critic, or that harsh internal voice that bullies us. You can try compassionately exploring where that voice came from, perhaps internalizing messages from childhood, and then consciously choosing not to let it define your self-worth. Envisioning the critic as a misguided part of you that needs love and patience can make it easier to silence or ignore it. Self-care practices are also essential. When we treat our bodies and minds with respect through nourishing habits, we reinforce self-love on a tangible level. Sufficient sleep, gentle exercise, spending time in nature, pursuing hobbies that light us up, all of these acts communicate, "I matter." And there's real value in finding our tribes, communities that mirror back our worthiness, whether online or in person. Connecting with others on this journey of self-acceptance helps normalize the experience. We are fundamentally relational beings, after all.
You've provided such a rich tapestry of insights and tools. As you've highlighted, this journey has many facets: nurturing self-compassion, disrupting old patterns, validating our inherent worth, living in alignment with our values. It's frankly an unlearning of so many toxic narratives. What would you most want to leave our listeners with as they embark on this exploration of radical self-love?
Firstly, be patient and compassionate with yourselves. Self-love is an ongoing practice, not a destination to be achieved. There will be days of deep connection and self-acceptance, and other days where old harsh voices resurface. That's okay. Forgive yourself and begin again. Also, interrogate the sources that define an arbitrarily narrow vision of worthiness. So much of the mass media promotes unattainable perfection or ties value to accomplishments. Release those toxic scripts and write your own empowering narrative of enoughness. Finally, view this journey not as a selfish indulgence, but as the greatest gift you can give to yourself and those around you. When we are living from a place of self-love, we show up more authentically in our relationships, work, and communities. Our light shines brighter for the world.
Those are such beautiful and empowering thoughts to reflect on. My deepest gratitude to you, Solomon, for your guidance and for sharing your wisdom with us today. To our listeners, I hope this plants seeds of inspiration to embark on your own authentic path of self-love and acceptance.
Thank you, Camo. It's truly been an honor. I wish everyone unlimited self-compassion and patience. We all deserve to thrive.
What a note to end on. This has been Camo's Mirror, and I'm Camo. Until next time, keep looking inward with kindness.